Daniela was putting the last of the clothes in the washing machine for later when she heard a knock on the door. She doesn't need any prophet to tell her who was knocking. This was all she had been waiting for. Home alone with her boyfriend. She had been waiting for him ever since Desmond stepped out of the house. She walked to the door and pulled the door open. She wasn't disappointed. Her boyfriend, Leonard, was standing with a broad smile on his face. He was carrying his traveling bag and a small duffel bag. With the size of his bag, she could tell that he came prepared. And of course that signature cocky grin of his was plastered on his face. "Hey dear Daniela," he spoke up with his deep voice. "You can see I didn't disappoint," he said with a slight grin on his face. Her blood has already run cold, and she was struggling to properly form a response. Yes, she told him to come over, but she didn't believe he could, though she loved it. She was going to have a nice moments with him in Desmond's mansion. "I'm happy you made it." She hugged and kissed him on the lips. "I missed you." "I miss you too," Leonard said and kissed her back. "You can come inside," Daniela said and escorted him inside the sitting room. "By the way, I'm going to be staying over until he gets back." His grin was becoming more evil. "How long did you say he's going to take?" 1 week, Daniela replied. "So we are having 1 week, home alone to enjoy and reap from where we didn't sow." Leonard smiled. She couldn't even begin to imagine what the full week was going to do to her. "We mustn't work to eat, just feel at home." She wrapped her arm around him. "I can't wait to have you at all corners of this building," he said, looking at her face. "We have the whole week. I can't wait to have you in the bed. I know you have missed me so much, especially my big thing. You missed how I handle you on bed." "I'm sure he doesn't make you feel like a slut. You are just like I do," Leonard said. Since he doesn't have any reasonable job, she allowed Daniela to go ahead. It doesn't hurt him that Desmond was having sex with her. All he cares was the money. Now, here he is in Desmond's house, ready to enjoy himself and even have fun with the so-called fiance. He have plans, including having Daniela in Desmond's bed. "He have had sex with me only few times. He doesn't even satisfy me. I'm glad you are here now to give me exactly how I wants it. My honeypot is tight, and I'm sure you will enjoy it more than you used to. You don't feel for someone you called your fiance. You made him divorce and kick his wife out just to have what you want. Now you want to cheat on him in his mansion. You are a bad boy as well, letting your girlfriend sleep with another man for money." She smiled at him. "And that make us a bad couple." He leaned over and kissed her on the lips, which she responded by sucking his tongue and lips. It reminded her the last time he nearly shifted her womb. Very soon she will be screaming his name on top of her voice. Suddenly, Leonard broke off and picked his bag back up off the floor and smirked. "I'll put my bag in your husband's room. At least you'll finally be able to say you're sharing a bed with a real man now," he laughed. "I don't think it's proper. You can keep your bag in visitor's room." "Proper? Coming in here is not even proper, so show me his room. It will be more fun. What best treatment can we have if we don't stay in his room?" "Come on," Leonard urged, and Daniela hesitated for a while before accepting. Daniela led Leonard to Desmond's room, and he dropped his bag beside the king-sized bed. "Make yourself at home," Daniela said with a sly smile. Leonard chuckled, gazing around the opulent space. "This is quite a setup Desmond's got here." Daniela shrugged. "He has a good taste. Besides, he's rich. What do you expect?" As Leonard began to unpack, Daniela couldn't help but feel a thrill of excitement. Being in Desmond's room with Leonard felt rebellious, liberating. Leonard caught her gaze, his eyes sparkling. "You know, I never thought I will be in Desmond's bed with you." Daniela laughed, joining him on the bed. "Life is full of surprises." Their lips met in a passionate kiss, and the tension between them became palpable. As they broke apart for air, Daniela glanced around the room, taking in Desmond's photos and personal belongings. For a moment, she felt a flicker of guilt, but Leonard's hands on her skin erased all doubts. "I love you," Leonard whispered, his breath hot against her ear. "I love you too," Daniela replied, her voice barely audible. Their laughter and whispers filled the room, a stark contrast to the tension that usually filled the space. "I'm hungry. Do you have any food in the house?" Leonard asked. "I have a pancake I'm yet to finish," Daniela answered. "No, I don't need that. I want a real food, something that will give me strength to give you what you want. You know what I mean." Leonard smirked at her. I will get that for you," Daniela said, and got up from him. Same Daniela, who have never cooked since she came into the house, was about to enter the kitchen. "I will need you to serve it to me in something sexy, like a gown," Leonard said, practically commanding Daniela. "Oh, and give me one of your husband's beers, or pop open some wine. I don't really care," he added. "That will be nice," Daniela answered. She didn't protest at all. "I will be chilling in the living room while you cook something up," he said. She got to the kitchen and began to pace aimlessly around the house, desperately trying to see what to cook. Not up to a minute, Daniela heard the television turn on in the living room, followed by the sound of someone dropping down onto the couch. Not wasting any more time, Daniela opened the fridge and searched around for what she could use for dinner. The only things that could serve to make a dinner of any substance was a pack of chicken breasts and some asparagus. She glanced at the counter and saw 2 sweet potatoes settling there. She smiled as she thought, seasoning it all properly for someone his age will definitely consider it to be a fancy meal, or at least something she put a lot of effort into. After getting out the food and the right seasonings, she got to work, getting the chicken and asparagus in the oven in no time at all. Normally she would also roast the potatoes in the oven, but microwaving them to cook them through will be good enough for Leonard. Staring at the timer in the oven, she make note that she have half an hour before she have to serve her boyfriend dinner. Not wanting to share any of her wine with him, she just grab a beer from Desmond's stash, making a mental note to buy another pack before he gets home. After she was done, she retired back to the bedroom and into the closet. The moment Leonard told her to wear a sexy dress, she already knew which one to pick. When she got to her wardrobe, she picked her tight, red dress Desmond forbade her to wear. She had kept it there, waiting for the right time to wear it, and today seemed to be the day she had been waiting for. Now she will be wearing it for her boyfriend. The first man to ever see her wear this dress was now going to be her boyfriend and not the man she was about to get married to. She undressed out of her clothes and slipped into the dress, observing herself in the mirror all the while. And just like she imagined, she looked damn good in the dress. The dress was hugging her great curves perfectly, and it shows off a generous amount of her sexy, irresistible cleavage. It complements her legs nicely too, with the slit in the side showing off part of her tanned thigh. She spent more time in the mirror, fixing her hair up some and making sure her makeup looked pretty. Not like it even matters. Leonard will probably be ruining it later tonight after dinner. She looked at herself in the mirror, checking herself and watching how sexy she looked. As she checked herself, she noticed something. The dress was not only short and sexy, it was also transparent. She can clearly see her panty, though she could barely make out her breast. But her nipples were poking at the thin fabric as if it wanted to make a hole. Feeling like she was more than presentable, she headed back into the kitchen and waited the last few minutes until the oven went off. Taking the food out, she dished it on Desmond's favorite golden plate, and then her own on a fashioned plate. Finally satisfied with her efforts, she grabbed Leonard's plate and his beer and headed into the living room. Entering the room, I saw Leonard reclined on the couch, his arm resting on the backrest as he fixed his attention on the television. When Daniela walked in, he turned his head with a surprised grin. "What the? You look sexy as hell." Daniela could see his eyes clearly admiring every inch of her body. Daniela smiled and set his plate and drink in front of him on the coffee table, before turning back around to grab her plate. "Looks just as good from the back," he added and gave her a hard spank on her soft ass. She jumped from the shock and quickly turned around to face him with a smile. "I can't wait for you to spank me more while you drill me." She smirked slightly, strutting as she walked out of the room and into the kitchen. Without even looking back, she can tell his eyes are still plastered on her swaying ass. She grabbed her plate of food and glass of wine and walked back to the living room, taking a seat next to Leonard on the couch. She looked over at Leonard once again, who is now tearing into his food like he had never been fed for 1 week. He was already made a decent dent into what Daniela served him. "This is awesome," he said through a mouthful of food. "You are a damn good cook," he adds, stuffing another bite of chicken into his mouth. When they finished, Daniela cleared the table and washed the plates, then retired back to the sitting room. Leonard had finished his drink. He got up and headed to the kitchen. "Where are you going?" Daniela asked. "Get some alcohol," he replied and left to the kitchen. Daniela settled down and continued to sip her drink. As Daniela was waiting for him, she couldn't help but began to think of the possible positions Leonard will keep her. "Shouldn't I be getting drilled by now?" she thought. She wasn't even remorseful that she was thinking that in Desmond's house, though that is exactly what Leonard had in mind when he showed up with his bag. Few minutes later, Leonard entered the living room again, this time holding the glass of wine Daniela left out in one hand and another beer in his other hand. "You need to drink more wine," Leonard said and poured another glass for Daniela before she could even object. Without wasting any time, he cracks open another beer and began to drink from it. "This wine must be costly. It tastes nice," Leonard said. "That's $100,000 wine," Daniela replied. "I thought as much. I hope you can make up a pretty lie for him because the bottle will be empty before I leaves the house." He came and sat beside her on the couch. "You don't have to worry about anything. I have everything under control. You have no choice than to accept anything I told him." She winked at him. "You are such a bad bitch," Leonard said, and suddenly, an intense scene popped up, initiated by a loud noise out of the blue. Instinctively, Daniela jumped. Gosh, she yelped, and by coincidence, with the way that she jolted, she ended up closer to Leonard. Easy there. His arm smoothly slides down the back of the couch and across her back, his warm hand resting on her shoulder. I promise they won't jump out at you. Not when I'm right here with you. Leonard meets her gaze and smirks. He knew she couldn't wait any longer. He have to start what brought him. He wasted no time and leaned in to kiss Daniela. Their lips connect, and soon their tongue met once again. His strong hands found themselves on the sides of her head, his kiss deepening more and more. Daniela's hands gently worked their way along the back of his head, her fingers running through his hair. Sounds of screaming and murder were heard, playing on the television, but neither of them are paying it any attention. At this point, nothing else matters apart from the kiss. His hands left her head and worked their way to her hips, where they grabbed her and forced her onto his lap. With one hand still running through his dark hair, she moved her free hand onto this hard chest. She began to grind against him as they make out. At this moment, she could feel his fat manhood growing through his sweatpants. That was how they ended up making love. Back to Desmond's business trip. In the evening time, the gleaming conference room was abuzz with the chatter of affluent business leaders as they filed in for the quarterly business meeting. Desmond strode confidently into the room, his designer suit and Rolex watch exuding an air of success. He made his way to the front of the room where the other attendees were mingling together and sipping their champagne. Desmond was about to grab a glass for himself when a familiar figure caught his eye. His heart skipped a beat as a wave of emotions washed over him. Shock, anger, disbelief. It was her again. Annabelle, his ex-wife. But how? She was working as a lowly janitor in Orton's group, and now, here she was, rubbing shoulders with the creme de la creme of the business world. What in the hell is she doing here? Was she invited to work as a junior in the conference room? But she just started a few weeks ago. Desmond marched over, his Italian loafers clicking against the marble floor. Annabelle, what the hell are you doing here? He demanded, his voice low but acidic. A few of the other moguls glanced over curiously at the commotion. Annabelle turned to face him and gave a small, secretive smile. She looked radiant in a fitted, expensive-looking dress that hugged her curves. When had she acquired all that? Certainly not during their marriage. Hello, Desmond, she purred. I see you're surprised to see me. Surprised, I'll say. The last time I knew you, you were a janitor, scrubbing toilets in Orton's group. And now you are here, fake smiling with the big shots. Who invited you, Annabelle? How did you find yourself here? I don't think it's necessary to tell you how I managed to be here. You have no business on how I was invited, Annabelle replied. I know why I'm asking you. This meeting is not for people like you. You are just a janitor. For you to be here, there must be a special assignment. A special assignment like what? Annabelle asked. What are good at, if not cleaning and scrubbing the toilet? I wonder what you are doing in here. You should be somewhere inside, doing what you does best. You want to use the opportunity and mingle with rich men, forcing yourself where you don't belong, Desmond said. And how is that your business? You don't tell me how to live my life. I'm free to do whatever I want and take responsible for it. The last time I checked, we are divorced. Though I can see that you like pestering around me, Annabelle said. It baffled me on how you take risks, trying to fit in where you don't belong. You can be fired if they find out. I know you always wish to mingle with important people like me, but this is not the right way, Desmond said, and Annabelle shook her head and smiled, then took a sip of her drink. So what is the right way? By licking your feet in your house? By working as a slave in your house? I will advise you to stop forcing yourself to me before you put yourself in trouble. You are putting yourself in trouble already by being where you are not supposed to be. I remember seeing you yesterday, entering a private jet. I thought you have made a comeback, not knowing that you are the luckiest janitor, chosen by Orton's group to work here. They must have chosen you because of how royal you are. Now you want to leave the purpose you are here and mingle with rich men. Have you ever wondered how I managed to be putting on an expensive dress? I don't need to wonder. I know how you got them. That's why you are here. To get more rich men with your beauty. Anyway, I have some advice for you. He paused for a moment before proceeding. Stop selling your body to rich men. They will use you and dumb you. You can't achieve anything with that. Just like you used me and dumbed me, right? She asked. Because I'm wearing a nice dress you couldn't buy for me when you were together, you concluded that it's from rich men? We both know that your 1 year's salary can't afford it. How else can you get it if not from men? You know what? I just need you to mind your business. Live your life and let me be. If I like, I date all businessmen. It doesn't concern you, though. I know why you always pestering around me. But get it in your mind that you will never have me again. Desmond was about to say something, and a handsome guy showed up. Desmond could recognize the man. It was the same man he saw the other day, walking with Annabelle into the private jet. He couldn't see his face the other day. Now he could clearly see him, and he would recognize him. His name is Jethro, only son of Sir Orton, but he doesn't know that he was Annabelle's younger brother. "Hey sis, you are here already," he said when he got closer. Desmond was taken aback. Did he just call Annabelle his sister? Desmond asked himself. He must be mistaken her for someone else. Jethro walked closer and greeted Annabelle before turning his attention to Desmond. Jethro recognized him immediately. He noticed him. They have not met face to face, but he had seen his pictures in Annabelle's phone. "You must be Desmond. What are you doing with my sister?" Jethro said with a mean voice. Annabelle could tell he was about to reveal her real identity, something she was hiding from Desmond. Jethro thought that Annabelle had already revealed her real identity to Desmond. He was angry and ready to have him thrown out for stalking his sister. For Desmond, he was still confused. How can he call a lowly janitor his sister? Which means she's Annabelle Orton, only daughter of Orton. "Are you her brother, this lowly janitor?" Desmond asked. That was when Jethro knew that Annabelle had not revealed herself to him. "Are you surprised he called me his sister?" Annabelle spoke up immediately. "I was doing well on cleaning and scrubbing the toilet and liked me. He takes me as his sister." Desmond was baffled. He couldn't believe what she just said. She's talking about the son of the richest man in the world. "And you want me to believe that? He must be an imposter. The only son of Sir Orton can never have anything to do with a janitor like you. It only happens in movies." "What are you saying? That I'm fake?" Jethro asked. "You are not only a fake, but a scam. If you are Orton's son, you won't have anything to do with her. You are deceiving her. Mind what you say, mister. Your words can land you in trouble you can never detach yourself from," Jethro said with a serious tone, and Annabelle tried to calm him down. "I can easily believe that you were a staff in Orton's group who looked like the CEO's son. Don't portray yourself as the son of Sir Orton. The real Jethro cannot bring down himself to befriend a janitor. Janitor is among the lowest class of job in a company. A man in that level can't have anything to do with a lowly janitor," Desmond said, and Jethro shook his head and laughed. "So that is what you think? The last time I checked, we are all human beings. And lets things work that way, it means that you are not supposed to be talking to me because you are not on my level. So, the family? Don't push me to the wall. I can mess your life up with a call," Jethro said, and Annabelle could see he was serious. Annabelle knew her brother so well. He is just like her father, ruthless and quick to action. "Just forget about him. I don't want you to harm him. Just leave him. He is acting out of ignorance," Annabelle said. "Why are you begging him at, if he's the true Jethro? Both of you cannot deceive me. And for you, Annabelle?" Desmond turned to Annabelle. "I know you are desperate to find a permanent man, but trust me, he is deceiving you. He will mess with your life. At least he won't do more than what you did to me. You can see good changes on me. My look, my skin, dressing. I wonder why you are advising me as if you are a good person. Just face your life, focus on your wife. I guess she didn't come along with you this time. Who knows what she will be doing in your house, especially on your bed. She must be having a lot of fun." "What are you trying to say?" Desmond asked. "Don't tell me you are now dumb to understand a simple statement." "Oh, you think she will be alone, waiting for you for 1 week? Bet me, she will never call you to tell you how much she misses you," Annabelle finished. "You think everyone is like you? Daniela will never cheat on me. She is faithful, well brought up, unlike you, who goes about sleeping with different men, so you will be among the important people. I think we are done talking. I need to go and socialize with other important people." She took his brother's hand and left. Desmond could feel the wave of jealousy building again. He grabbed a cup of wine from the table and tried to keep his mind off her completely. About 20 minutes later, the ceremony was declared open. People began to give their speech. It was a very interesting and beautiful conference. High-profile people from different countries came out to give their speech. Soon, Desmond was called out to give his speech. He came out and didn't disappoint. He gave an excellent speech, which beats most of other representatives. Soon, it was time for auction. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most anticipated event of the conference. The auctioneer began, and the hall went silent. "Today, we put up for auction the esteemed Smithson Corporation. Smithson Corporation is one of the leading players in the tech industry. But due to disagreements between the founders, it was placed for an auction, and bidding will start at $10 million. The highest bidder will become the owner and CEO of the company." Desmond, who was seating near the front, leaned forward. He was interested in the company, and he had more than $10 million to bid the auction. He knew that the hall was filled with rich men, but he believed he can do it. Annabelle was sitting a few rows back. She looked relaxed, as if she was not interested in the company, though she was ready to compete with Desmond if he comes to the verge to win. The bidding began with companies and investors jumping into the fray, topping the amount with $50,000 and $100,000. Desmond wasted no time in raising his paddle to bid $13 million. $13 million from Desmond's group, the auctioneer announced. Desmond smiled, waiting for whosoever that will challenge him. Marcus, a high-profile businessman who was on his 60s, countered with $15 million. Just then, a middle-aged man in a suit jumped in with $16 million. A bossy-looking woman with a sharp jawline raised her paddle. $20 million. Desmond's eyes narrowed as he saw that he had lots of competitors. He raised the bidding to $24 million. Marcus responded with $25 million. The middle-aged man bid $25.5 million. The bossy woman countered with $26 million. Desmond's competitive spirit flared, and he raised it up, $30 million. Marcus and the middle-aged man dropped out, shaking their head. Desmond smiled, though the woman had not given up. She continued trading blows with Desmond by bidding $31 million. Desmond countered with $35 million. Annabelle remained silent, observing the chaos. All she knew was that Desmond will never win. The woman hesitated before dropping. Desmond stood alone, his eyes fixed on the auctioneer. At this point, he was already seeing himself as the CEO of Smithson Corporation. But just as the auctioneer's hammer was about to fall, Annabelle's soft voice cut through. $50 million. The room went silent. Heads turned, seeking the source of the bid. Desmond's eyes widened as he spotted Annabelle's paddle. The room erupted into shocked murmurs. "Who is this young lady?" someone whispered. Since Orton have not introduced her, no one knew her. "Which company is she representing?" Another voice trailed off. Desmond's face darkened. How could Annabelle, a janitor, bid such an astronomical amount? It was unbelievable. The auctioneer's voice cut through the commotion. $50 million from— "What is your name, young lady?" the auctioneer asked. "My name is Annabelle," she replied with a smile. $50 million from Miss Annabelle, the auctioneer pronounced. Desmond's eyes locked onto Annabelle. His mind was racing. What was going on? Where did she get the funds? None of her lovers can give her that kind of money. Is she representing Orton's group? A janitor cannot represent a whole company, not to talk of a company like Orton. Does she got a promotion that I'm not aware of? Even though it was a big challenge, he was not ready to back off. $55 million, Desmond bid. His voice was still firm. Annabelle's gaze flickered to Desmond, a hint of amusement dancing in her eyes. $55 million and $1, she countered with a smile on her face. $60 million, Desmond bid, even though it's higher than his capability. $60 million and $2, Annabelle countered again with a smirk. At this point, Desmond could tell she was playing with his emotions. She was practically toying with him. Who's behind this? He asked himself amidst confusion. He would not back down. $70 million. Now back off, little brat. He smiled at Annabelle, but Annabelle's next bid left him speechless. Watch out for part 7. Subscribe to our channel.